Hi, I'm Steve Sample with Bama Talk. Don't miss a single episode of Bama Talk Show, available now on iTunes, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app, and on the web at bigbrainsmedia.com.
This is your Weather Xtreme video for Saturday, March the 9th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Thanks for tuning in, and before I forget it, don't forget, tonight we start daylight savings time. That means you need to set your clocks ahead, so spring forward, and don't forget to do that or you'll be an hour late to everything on Sunday. Let's take a look at our Skycam imagery this morning, and I have to start at the south part of the state. Just a beautiful shot from the Dauphin Island Skycam down there. That Sea Lab is just absolutely fantastic place to visit. Plus, the ferry is fun to take across the bay there as we look out over Mobile Bay. We do have a few clouds passing across the area. As a matter of fact, there's a few showers showing up on radar. Those showers are pretty scattered and very isolated, and very little of that reaching the ground. We'll look at the sounding in just a minute. On the surface map this morning, high pressure centered over the western parts of New York and Pennsylvania is making its influence felt across the eastern half of the country. So we're expecting some good weekend for us to enjoy. That weekend also partially being good because of a large upper ridge that is in place across the eastern half of the country, and that's keeping things a lot warmer than we've seen in past days. You can see the warmth surging northward there in the Central Plains area, and with temperatures at 5 a.m. basically running around lower 30s, mid and lower 30s, all the way up into Iowa, which is pretty unheard of for this time of year. We don't have very chilly values around here. It's kind of nice. A little bit of a gradient, though. We do see like 46 at Tuscaloosa, but 36 up at Fort Payne. So kind of a nice southwest to northeast gradient in temperatures across the area. Satellite picture, of course, does show that we're getting some clouds, and so it's kind of going to be clouds off and on. On the watch warning map, there's a lot of activity going on with the storm system that will be affecting us Monday, with coming out of the central Rockies there and extending all the way up to the western Great Lakes. QPF-wise, we're looking at probably on the order of about 1 to 2 inches of rain possible across central Alabama with the system primarily coming Monday. It looks like the rain will hold off for Sunday evening, but maybe after midnight we may see the beginnings of some rain. The frontal system moves by fairly slowly, so we get a nice dousing with this particular system. And right now it doesn't look like anything's likely to be severe. Storm Prediction Center has an outlook for slight risk extending from about Tulsa all the way down through the Dallas-Fort Worth area to the hill country just to the southwest of San Antonio, and that is day 1 for today. Day 2, no specific area. That's Sunday, and no specific area, but see text as a possibility down in, let's just say, centered on Louisiana. And then for day 3, basically thunderstorms confined primarily to the Gulf Coast region of South Alabama and Northwest Florida, without much in the way of severe weather expected. And let's take a look quickly at the sounding from the Shelby County Airport. Now remember, this is the sounding from last night, the upper air balloon run, but you notice that it is pretty dry in the lower part of the atmosphere. So the result is that I don't think we're going to see anything serious in the way of, you might get a sprinkle or two out of any of these clouds that are passing by, but nothing that significant. All right, let's take a look at modeling for the 06Z GFS model run, and there's our upper air chart for today, the 500 millibar pattern. You can see that ridge with a pretty deep trough. However, the trough, as James pointed out yesterday, staying positive and not going negative, and of course that keeps high pressure over our area, but it certainly is improving the moisture flow out of the western Gulf of Mexico off to our west with a pretty tight gradient over there. We see the ridge migrate a little further east and pretty much become centered over the East Coast on Sunday, and that allows everything to move a little bit closer. We see that strong surface low moving up through Missouri, trailing a cold front back into East Texas, and by about 18Z on Monday, that's moving through. So again, I think the best chance of rain comes actually during the hours, the 24-hour period of Monday. When we get to Tuesday by 18Z, the system has finally moved on out of our area. And of course, there's a pretty good agreement, too, when you look at the The European in pretty good agreement on exactly where the front will be. Yeah, the low position for 18Z on Monday, just a tad off by a few miles, but actually pretty close agreement in all those models. When we get out to Wednesday, we've seen that trough come by and developing a fairly substantial trough over the eastern half of the country. However, the northwesterly flow is pretty much keeping things cooler off to our northeast. Now, we're going to cool down, but going to drop from like the 70s into maybe the upper 50s, not a real chill down. By Thursday, we're still under that northwesterly flow, so Thursday stays a coolish day, not terribly cold. Probably we'll see highs in the lower 60s as we see the high-pressure system at the surface settle in over the area. By Friday, we're beginning to feel the influence of the large ridge that's off to our west as the northwesterly flow kind of weakens for us, and of course the high pressure at the surface settles in. By Saturday, a week from today, the flow is still slightly northwesterly, so we're not going to see just a dramatic warm-up, but certainly a gradual warm-up, and you can see that the surface high pressure staying with us, centered over the Gulf Coast area. Looking out into Voodoo Country, the ridge is a big story for the second week. You can see that ridge over the area, but of course we're seeing little traveling systems like you see the one over the Ohio River Valley that'll bring us what could be a relatively wet day. And I know, as James said, it looked like we're in for a period of kind of no showers, but because of the southwesterly flow, we're going to have a lot of moisture, so it does look like the second week could be wetter than what the models were indicating yesterday. Or is this just a flip-flop? Well, we'll know that when the time gets here. Well, thanks for tuning into the Weather Xtreme video. I expect to have the next one posted first thing on Sunday morning, if I can remember to set my clocks ahead 1 hour, spring forward. So don't forget to do that. Have a great day, and Godspeed.
Thank you for trusting us to be your #1 source for news
in all of Central Alabama.
in back-to-back ratings periods.
More people watched ABC 3340
than any other station in Birmingham.